Alright, welcome. Right now, in this video, I'm going to build is a PDF reader using Vue and Nuxt 3. Okay, so Vue 3 and Nuxt 3, right? So Vue 3 for building our UI and Nuxt 3 so we can easily deploy our application in any server or vendor, hosting vendor. Okay, so this first video is focuses on the design. So what will be the end result? So I'm going to rely also on a package, or in this case in a UI library called Beautify, where now I'm going to set a navigation at the top of the screen, followed by the PDF reader using the Pdfjs, right? This general purpose web standard based platform for parsing and rendering PDF. Okay, so this is the design, the end result. Okay, and also the ability that we want from this GSDoc is this. Okay, let me define the user use case like this. Nope. Let me define also the user use case. I don't know why it's doing this. In any case, let me add a text here. Okay, and now define is the use case here. Okay, so as a user, being able to display a PDF, okay, being able to navigate through pages, and be able to select and copy text from PDF. So this is the requirement, right? So the requirements for this, and so this is the PDF reader with Vue and Nuxt 3, right? So there you go. Let me make this a little bit bigger, like this, and there you go. Okay, this is PDF reader with Vue and Nuxt 3. Okay, so first, let's define is the UI, okay, the design, because after all we already want what will be in the front end, this navigation as well as this reader. Okay, so let's jump into the code. So let me open here the Visual Studio Code for that. I also would like to highlight what will be is the roadmap here, because at the end of the day, I'm not sure about the underlying mechanism. So the possible roadmap, okay, the naive roadmap is to define UI, load the Pdfjs package in our Nuxt in Nuxt app. Okay, load a PDF, or in this case, render a PDF file. All right. And once we're able to render the once we are able to render that PDF file, now we're going to define the UI to render. So to define the UI to render PDF. Load the PDF package into Nuxt app, render a PDF file. If we're able to do that, render a PDF file, render a PDF file that allow to copy text. Okay, that allows to copy text. Okay, so define the UI to render the page, load the PdfJs package into Nuxt app, but since we are going to rely on a Vue3 package here, on a Vue3 library, so that might be somewhat easy to do that. Okay, you get is this. Render a PDF file that allows to copy text, and if we can do that, okay, so render multiple PDF page in a single file. Okay, all right. So this is our naive roadmap, and I say that because a lot of things can change over time. Okay, so now all right, so now let's go to Nuxt. Okay, because it's Nuxt.com. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to copy this line of code where we're going to download the latest application and download the latest application and set the proper name. So here, what I'm going to do is to open a Visual Studio Code, but let me now switch my here. What are you? Okay, so switch to the Visual Studio Code. All right. Wait for the terminal to load. Paste the code here, but in our case will be is Nuxt 3 PDF render. Okay, so Nuxt 3 PDF render. Okay, so here we're going to install all the necessary dependency, but for Nuxt 3.6, so yes, do that. Okay, so now let's go to the folder, use performance npm to install all the necessary dependencies. Okay, this might take a little bit of time. Okay, that's right. Awesome. And now let me open here with the variable environment name code or folder or a project folder here. That's right. And now run the dev server. So it will call Nitro to run the dev server. Nitro is this server engine. Okay. Okay, so Nitro build. But it doesn't launch the application. Why not? Oh no, in fact it already did that. Okay, so localhost. So if I navigate to Firefox here, that's right. So we got this Nuxt welcome page. All right, cool. Because now what we can do is just to define is the basic HTML to render, or the basic view component to render. So if I go back to the code, okay, so what I can do here is replace the Nuxt welcome and define a folder called the components, where all of our components will live, or view3 components, and this will be called as the pdf render.view. Okay, luckily for us, I can rely on a boilerplate from Pdfjs using TypeScript, which already have this. Awesome, cool. And one of the great things of our, so let me here print this just to help me. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't complete that. Anyway, this is the PDF render. Okay, component. And one of the great things of this is that we don't need to import that component. Nuxt under the hood actually do that for us. So we can just call it the PDF render component. Okay, and we're supposed to see that here, right? That's awesome. So it automates that process. PDF render. Okay, so we can now focus on building our application. So if we take a look at the Nuxt here, that's right. So we didn't import anything. It automatically Nuxt auto import any components, as well as other folders and as well as other files under a specific folder structure. So PDF render. And with that, okay, now I'm going to install this particular library here, View3 PDF. All right, View3 PDF, which is a wrapper around the Pdfjs, right? Which is this general purpose web standard that is hosting and maintained by Mozilla. So, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So go back to the code here. Okay, so go back to the code. Let me now install this dependency using performance npm install as a dependency. All right, and meanwhile we can now look at the Firefox here on our browser and how can we include that. All right, so if we're using is view 3, this is the way how can we include that. All right, but because we are using is Nuxt, okay, question is that how can we import, for example, components like this, right? So go to the nuxt.com. On the documentation, get started here on the entry point, which is the configuration here. This is the views. Exactly, by default, Nuxt will treat this file as the entry point and render its content for every route of the application. If you're familiar with Vue, you might wonder where the main.js is, the file that normally creates Vue apps. Nuxt does this behind the scenes. So how can I access to that application? That might be one way to think about it. Okay. And the layout, and then extending HTML template. So because here, okay, a funny question will be like this. So it says that by defining this component that we need to add that as a middleware. I would like to know how can I do that in Nuxt. Okay, so you got the configuration here. To add a component or to register a component in our configuration, this file will often be mentioned in this document, for example, to add custom script, register model, or change rendering modes. Okay, every configuration option is described in the configuration reference. You don't have to use TypeScript to build an application with Nuxt. However, it is strongly recommended to use DS. Exactly. This way you can benefit from hints in your IDE to avoid typos or mistakes while editing your configuration. Okay, this is app configuration here. By default, the root of a project is used to expose public variables that can be determined at build time. Contrary to runtime config option, this cannot be overridden using environment variables. A minimum configuration file export define app for this. The subtle difference between the runtime and the app.config. Environment variables you cannot define here. Reactive. TypeScript support, yes. Configuration per request. Hot mode replacement. Okay. Non-primitive JavaScript types. External configuration. View configuration. And the view loaders. But this is with Webpack. Okay. All right. So this is the Nuxt configuration reference, but in our case, okay, what I want is to know how can I import a component. You know, how can I know to import a component? Because the question is, how to import Vue3 component or Vue3 external lib into Nuxt 3. External library in Nuxt 3. npm splitting, what? But this is if he wants to load from different source like this. Okay. Exactly, how to add client-side libraries in Nuxt, but this is not Nuxt 3, my friend. How to load third-party script in Nuxt.js. But this is third-party script. Okay, this is one way to do that, adding a third-party script to the Sting page. View meta to the rescue. Okay, when needed. So in my case, okay, so how to load client libraries in. It's not necessary. How to load Vue3 lib into Nuxt 3. But this is a splitting, and they're using here is the head for that. So this is the way how they're importing that. However, like this. Because the package that I want to use is this, okay, and if I want to register that, is something like this. Then you have, for example, examples. Okay, my script. No, and this is the source. Okay. So if I want to do this, okay, this allegedly supposed to work. Okay. So import component from ES model folders to enable tree shaking. Please note that Mozilla PDS npm package does not export tree shakeable ES model. Okay, so let me test this. So since right now I am on Nuxt context, on the Nuxt environment here, so if I go to here and say, hey, I would like you to import this, okay, and also I would like to know how can I use this as a component. Okay, so I import in this component, it automatically behind the scenes do the auto import and get and define this reactive reference here. Okay, like the PDF source, which contain is this. So allegedly this is something that comes from here with it is typing. Okay, so we already have this. Okay, and these are some variables that are defined on the example. Okay, so they mentioned that unmounted you're going to now load that. Okay, following is the example from the GitHub repo on mounted. So that is this. This is also something that must come from the PDF document proxy from now the PDS distribution. Okay, so on mounted we're going to load a task, okay, that comes from this which has only 0 numbers of page, and then after that we're able to see if the PDF that we are receiving from, what are the number of pages that it contains. Okay, and then import this HTML template here to render this. Okay, so this in theory is supposed to work. Now let me run the npm npm run dev, so run the dev server. Okay, and if I go back to the browser, then we got is the local host here. Document is not defined. Interesting. Okay, document is not defined. Let me look at this. Nuxt request error on handle 500 is not defined. Nitro handle reference window is not defined. Interesting. Window is not defined. Okay. So, okay, so let me now look at the so let me reload here the Nuxt application, and here, okay, it's making this HTTP request where it now have this. So if I look at the, I cannot use the view Nuxt or view DevTools. Okay, so I'm receiving is this. Okay. All right. So document is not defined here. From the PDF distribution. Okay. Might be an issue because I'm not registering is that application, that view component. So for example, so here could not find declaration file for model ESM. It has an implicit type. Try add a new declaration file, declare model view PDF ESM. So if I not adding the ESM, but after all I should add that, because otherwise tree shaking won't be able to do. Okay, my question here is how can I define this view PDF? You know what I mean? Because here allegedly in theory is supposed to load that. Okay. Here in theory you're supposed to load that. But you're throwing is this error, in fact. This is much like from the model. Nuxt request error on handle 500 document is not defined. So before loading this task, okay, before loading anything, I just want to see if you're loading that component. Exactly, it's not able to load that component. Okay, so my main question here is that how can I register or how can I access, how to access main.js in Nuxt 3. Okay, where's the main? Okay, there's a bunch of lifecycle hooks you can address going further, or build generate.app as well as the hook. Okay. So through lifecycle hooks, which is this, through lifecycle hooks, app hooks runtime, and nitro app hooks. Okay, you have here a lot of hooks. Nuxt provide a powerful hooking system to expand almost every aspect using hook. This feature is powered by OnJS Hookable. Nuxt hooks build time. These hooks are available for Nuxt model and build context. Usage with Nuxt.config. Hooks used with Nuxt model App hooks runtime. App hooks can be mainly used by Nuxt plugin to hook into rendering lifecycle, but can also be using view composables as a plugin. Okay, these hooks are available in Nitro plugins. Okay, plugin.test advanced hooks. Advanced hook. View setup, view error. Okay, so if I'm going to define using a plugin, a Nuxt plugin, would Nuxt automatically read the file in your plugin directory and load it at the creation of the view application. So this is what we want. You can use .server or .client suffix in the file name to load a plugin only on server or the client side. So this is the way how can we define here our application, right? Okay. Nuxt app hooks here. So what I want to is to register plugin registration order. Anything that is injected in the plugin. Using composable with plugins, automatically providing helpers, type in plugins, in view plugins. If you want to use view plugins, exactly. For example, to add Google Analytics tags, you can use Nuxt plugin to do so. First, install the plugin you want. View tag next. Okay, install the plugin, and you're going then to register that component. Track router, use router. Okay. So this is the way how you can register this Vue3 components into, or this external Vue3 components into your Nuxt 3 app. All right, this is great. So back to our code here. Oh, come on. Back to our code here. I'm going to define is a plugin folder. Plugins, where here I'm going to call this view PDF, right? So here I'm going to create a folder here called view PDF. This must be a TS, all right? Let me do that in lowercase, view pdf.ts. Okay, and because I just want to render this on the client side, so render this only on the client side. Okay, and then, well, it's going to export this function, in this case, export default define Nuxt plugin. Okay, export default Nuxt plugin, which is already a macro. Here, we're in the parameter, it takes a parameter, which is the Nuxt application. Okay, and it's here where we can now say, hey, I would like you to register, okay, view Nuxt app. So I would like to register here Nuxt app, view app. For this, I would like to look at the API. Like this to make myself familiar with. So now go back to the documentation. Okay, so and here we can access to the view instance. Oops, to the view external view like this. To the view. Question is view? Is this property? View app. Okay. Is view app? It seems like nope. Because this is the Nuxt configuration. Okay. The component. Okay, since this is the Nuxt configuration, question is how can I access to the Nuxt app? The question is, what is this Nuxt app object? Okay. Yeah, this is puzzling to me. It's like, okay, so this is the Nuxt app. Okay, this is the Nuxt app. You can access runtime context within composables, components, and plugins. In Nuxt 2, this was referred as Nuxt context. Okay. Use Nuxt app on the server only works during setup, inside Nuxt plugin or lifecycle hooks. Exactly. Providing helpers is it is possible to inject helpers by returning an object in here. See the plugin documentation. Okay, so this is the Nuxt context. Okay, the context. We're here. Okay, view app. No, we don't have the view app. Or they don't call that view app, just app. Nuxt app options. Okay. So this is interesting. Nitro plugins and Nitro hooks, Nuxt app hooks, or because I'm using is the No, this is not the Nuxt config. Not the Nuxt config. In fact, it's the Nuxt app here. Remote about plugins. Okay, but I just want to know is in Nuxt you can access runtime app context within composables. However, here it is possible to inject helpers by returning an object with a provide key. But this is on plugin. Accessing Nuxt app. Okay. Accessing Nuxt app. Okay, this helper function. No. So this is the docs. This is the guide. If I want to look at the composables, or at least the composables API, okay, the composables or the API here, the composables, like the like in our case, Nuxt context, Nuxt app, exactly. And it just wants to understand this, use Nuxt app from the composable to, so is this, okay, to want to know, okay, so I would like to know what are the property and methods for this. So view apps, server-side context, payload, and hit rotating. Exactly. So is this. So view apps. So view apps is the global Vue.js application instance that you can access through Nuxt apps. Some useful methods are components, directives, and use. This is to install a Vue.js plugin example. Jesus. Okay. So is on the Vue app property where we can say use, where we can call these methods, and it's in here where we're going to register that component. Here. So we're going to call is the Vue PDF. Okay. What we're going to call is this component dot use, and that's all. So is there any next step when you are registering a plugin? Here, which files I'll register. Okay. Is there anything else that I should do? For example, view plugins here. So it seems that that'll be all, right? Similarly, you can register a custom view directive in a plugin. For example, in plugins directive.ts. So there is no need to do that. Okay, so back to our code. Back to our code. So this is how I register this Vue PDF library. Okay, so now I'm running the dev server again. And going back here, it also throws this error. Even though that I'm loading that component, new dependency optimized, optimized dependency change, reloading, but it still has this issue. Interesting. Okay. So import globally. This is if you want to import that globally. And if you want to import that globally, so there is no need to do this. Only to get that function here. So they need to build the dev server. So go back here to the application, and this is most likely a ES error, man. This is most likely an ES error, ESM error. Nuxt request error on handle 500 document is not defined. Interesting. So I am importing this component here, but for some reason it's not loading that. View3 PdfJs. Yep. So object.define value, model universal model definition. Is some ESM models error. Interesting. Reference error, window is not defined. So what I'm doing here is, once I call that page, okay, so once the browser makes the HTTP request to the server bundles that, but for some reason failed, and it failed. So if for some reason I say, hey, you know what, load this in the client and in the server, just load that plugin on client and on the server. The problem is that that library is only available, or it only works on the client side, because it needs the window object. You know what I mean? It's like it needs the window object. So here on the plugins, okay, here on the plugin, on the Nuxt plugin, Nuxt plugin, like that here, exactly. But in the commands, not commands, no, advanced utils, what? And this is the API. No, I'm looking for the guidelines. Here on the plugin, on the plugin, okay. I just want it to load only on the client side, or loading strategies, exactly. Loading strategies, or for plugin registration. Exactly, Nuxt automatically reads the files in your plugin directory and loads them at the creation of the view application. You can use the .server or the .client suffix in the file name to load a plugin only on the server or the client side. All plugins in plugins directory are auto register, so you should not add them to your Nuxt.config separately. Okay. So here, that's right, .client, okay. So I just want it to load that on the client only. I just want you to load this on the client. All right. And just only on the client, not on the server, but it's still loading that on the server, because it throws this error and say, hey, no, there is no document defined. Of course, because I just want to load this applications on the client side. You can directly register Nuxt app hook here. And there are several hooks here. So now go to the guidelines here. I mean at the API on the advanced lifecycle hooks. Call when initial view app instance is created. App.error, call when a fatal error occur. App.error clear, data refresh, view setup. Okay, server and the client. App before mount, call before mounting the app, call only on the client side. Exactly, before mount, you're gonna do this. So, it seems like you are not doing what you're supposed to do in this plugin. So I will have to do is this. So if you're using an object syntax plugin, the property may statically analyze in the future to produce a more optimized build. So you should not define them at runtime. For example, setting enforce process of server pre or post will defeat any future optimization. Nuxt is able to do for you plugins. enforce pre or post. Okay, but this is now advanced configuration. This is advanced configuration. So go into the advanced configuration on the composables like define Nuxt plugin, define or Nuxt, no. Okay. What about the tail? No. The lifecycle hooks, the configuration. More like the define Nuxt plugin. Okay. Define Nuxt plugin. Okay. Define Nuxt plugin. Define Nuxt plugin. I'm plugging here, but for some reason it's not loading as supposed to. You know? So if I would like to go to define Nuxt plugin Nuxt 3 code, now please show me the it must come from Nuxt app. Import from Nuxt. Define Nuxt plugin. Or Nuxt app. Import type Nuxt app. Nuxt app. Okay. Allegedly. Okay. But for some reason it's not loading that on the client only. You know what I mean? It's not loading on the client. There's something wrong with it. So if I define using the object definition here, okay, so I should be able to use that. So app creator Nuxt app dot view app, which is part of this. This is where you're going to inject this dependency, and the name of the dependency will be called is view pdf. That's right. So in theory, this you're supposed to create that. Could not resolve. Could not resolve home plugins view.client.ts. Oh, okay. Exactly. Some syntax error maybe. Okay, let me rerun this server. Yeah, some syntax error. Okay. So now when I go back to the server, when I hit the local host, I'm still getting is that error. I'm still getting that error. I'm still getting that error. I'm still getting that error. It's because for some reason you on the server side is trying to load that and to match that. And no. It's a server that is running that. And I don't want you to run that. It's a server that is running that. Okay. Wait, what the hell? Oh, because server, okay. But why you don't go me to, oh, come on. npm no. Why you don't want to help me here? Please. Please, my friend. Please. Please. It's because here I need to register the component. Okay. Here just wants to register this component as view PDF, but only on the client side. You know what I mean? Only on the client side. Load client side lib on the Nuxt 3. Why just so I don't get it? How do I add client side library to Nuxt? Nuxt 3 with client side only rendering doesn't load. Yes, but in theory, but how old is this answer? 5 years, no man. This is another way of how you can import this plugin. But again, this is following is the view 2 configuration. Okay. Oh, that's lovely. Getting started, quick start, new project. Get started. Production ready, modular architecture. Okay. Installation section. New project. Okay. Learn more about the framework concepts. Exactly. Explicit import, disable out imports, UES development, smaller bundle. Okay, server engine, the models, ES models. What are valid import Node.js contexts? No, but this is a problem on when this library is rendering. That's what happened. Because when this library is executing, and I just want to do that on the server. Okay, I just only want to render that on the client. Okay, so once you download the file here on the client, exactly, but create loading test is not defined. Okay, okay. What does it mean is that we're actually loading that proper file, and now it is time to create loading task for this. Okay, so do that again. So we hit the endpoint server. So the server now is processing is that file, send that to the browser. Once the browser downloads that, it also downloads the necessary UES library. What the hell? Okay, what about now? Rerun this. It's like where wait, what? Okay. Yeah, close that. Rerun that again. For some reason, someone is actually using that board, the 3001. So if I back here, I'm still getting this error. And it is funny because I'm still loading is that application on the server. For some reason, it's running that application on the server. This is puzzling to me. This is very, very puzzling to me. Okay, I'm not even to be able to load this. This plugin actually doesn't allow me to inject that on view. Okay. So it's like I will need to expose this. So Nuxt app here. So after that, I will need to expose that. So view PDF. Okay. So here, if I use this simple example of Nuxt app, right, which is the Nuxt app here, the Nuxt app here, and then I tell, hey, you know what? I just want to run this application and then export that. Okay, meaning is something like this. Nuxt app directive focus. Similarly, you can register a custom view directive in a plugin. For example, in plugin/directive. Get server-side props. I think this is the way how I need to load this. But this is a directive. But directives. Okay. All right. Okay, so if I open the public, but this is okay. This is from the examples. Feature, routing, advanced, teleport testing, use cookie, use custom fetch, composable, experimental. Features, auto import, data fetching, state management, meta tags, layout. Advanced error handling. In the plugins, error TS. View error, app error, global handler. GSTX. So this is how they register that kind of component as a plugin. Okay. Model extend page. Model page, no. But as you use cookies. Okay, this is a composable. And use custom fetch. Okay. And the universal router. It doesn't load this properly. There's a middleware. Add route middleware. Add route middleware. Yeah, but this is route middleware. I just want to load this plugin. In this case, I just want to load is this. Yeah, because this is the older way how it does. So another way, but this is on Nuxt plugin, but this is Nuxt version 2. You know, this is Nuxt version 2. So question is, can we use this approach on here? So for example, so instead of defining this, I will say is, so import the view import view 3. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to autocomplete the features. Like, why you don't want to provide this? View 3 API reference. Okay. All of this. But the way of how can I call this? Okay, so if I look at the view 3 npm package, okay, come on, come on, come on. Is create app in this case, exactly. So if I want to register a component or a plugin like this, is something like this. Import the create view, okay, import create app, create that. Okay, then you create the app, and then you indicate here that this is how you're gonna use this plugin. Okay, there is no strict defined scope for a plugin, but common scenarios where plugins are useful include register one or more global components or custom directives with the app.components and app directives, make a resource injectable through the app by calling that, add some global instance property or method by attaching them to the config global property, a library that needs to perform some of that. So this is how do you write and how do you register a component, a plugin in Vue 3. Okay. However, in Nuxt, you have a particular way to do that. Okay. No, but this is fetching data from there. Nuxt add client side is JavaScript is not executed at first page. Exactly. In theory. But this actually doesn't work. This in theory should work. So this is how you register a plugin here. Okay, like this. But the issue here is, how are we going to register this plugin? Performing npm install. Okay, but if I want to access that, package, and for some reason now it's not loading. It's not even loading that. Now it's not even loading this. This helper function is not working. Okay. You know what? Let me refresh this. Okay. Because for some reason it's not loading. Okay. That's right. Okay, cool, awesome. So here in theory, could not find declaration file for model PdfVSM. It has an implicit any type. If the view3 PDF package actually exposes this model, try adding a declaration.ts. But this is using this, right? This is using this. This is how do we register this component, okay? And then we should return that instance. I'm assuming that, right? I'm assuming that we need to return that instance here once you register that plugin. So if I go back to the way of how can I define that? No. Close all of this. Go to the guidelines here, to the plugin section, and if I want to expose the plugin, alright, if I want to expose the plugin, I can do that with this. So provide this. right? So return provide is the view PDF, right? PDF that this, okay, all right. So that'll be all for this video. Take care.